Chapter 1. The Mysterious Stranger. It was a calm afternoon in Magnolia, and Haru was just about to close the shop for the day. His mind wandered back to the days when he first came to the town, full of hopes and a burning desire to learn magic. However, despite all the books and lessons he had taken, mastering magic proved to be much harder than he expected. Still, he wasn't about to give up. The bell above the door jingled, pulling him out of his thoughts. A tall, imposing figure entered the store, his presence immediately filling the room. His hair was long and dark, his face stern but with an oddly kind aura about him. He looked around the store, his eyes scanning the shelves, and then fixed his gaze on Haru. "I'm looking for someone." The stranger's voice was calm but carried an air of mystery. "Someone who could use a little help." Haru tilted his head. "Help? I don't know what you're talking about, but if you need something, I can help you with that." The man's eyes twinkled with amusement. "It's not the kind of help you might expect. I specialize in magic. Teaching it, in fact." Haru's heart skipped a beat. He was intrigued but hesitant. "Magic, huh? What kind of magic?" "Any kind you want," the man said with a smirk. "You seem like someone who wants to learn but is struggling. Why not let me show you the ropes?" Haru hesitated. "I don't know. Why would you want to teach me? What's in it for you?" The stranger smiled knowingly. "I've been around for a long time, kid. I don't do this for nothing. But I'll teach you if you're willing. Just remember, nothing comes without a price." Haru thought about it for a moment, a sense of doubt creeping into his mind. There had to be something behind this offer. Nothing was ever free. "I'll think about it," Haru said, nodding cautiously. "I'll let you know." The man gave a slight bow. "Of course, I'll be waiting." And with that the man walked out of the store, leaving Haru deep in thought. Something about the encounter felt strange, and Haru wasn't sure if he should pursue this opportunity. But the idea of learning magic was too tempting to ignore. Chapter 2. A Chance Encounter. The next few days passed by uneventfully for Haru, filled with routine work at the store. His thoughts occasionally wandered back to the mysterious man, but he had pushed the idea of learning magic to the back of his mind. After all, he had a lot of things to focus on, and magic still felt like an unreachable goal. That was until one afternoon when Haru had a rare day off and decided to walk around Magnolia, hoping to clear his head. It wasn't long before he ran into Mika, his colleague at the store. She had a warm smile and was always friendly, even though she had a quirky and somewhat messy way of going about things. "Oh, hey, Haru," Mika waved, noticing him as she strolled through the town square. "What are you doing here? Shouldn't you be working?" Haru shrugged. "I've got the day off. Just thought I'd take a walk. What about you?" "I'm off too, actually," Mika said, her voice cheerful. "I was just going to grab something to eat. Want to join me?" Haru found himself smiling. "Sure, why not?" The two of them wandered around the town, chatting about nothing in particular. Mika's laughter was contagious, and Haru couldn't help but feel more at ease. Despite all the awkwardness in his life, especially with magic, being with Mika was surprisingly comfortable. As they strolled through Magnolia's main square, Haru noticed how the sunlight caught in Mika's hair, creating a warm halo around her. Her eyes sparkled with curiosity, and there was something undeniably charming about the way she smiled. Mika caught him staring and chuckled. "What's wrong, Haru? You've got that look on your face again." Haru quickly snapped out of his thoughts, feeling a blush creeping up his neck. Nothing. I was just thinking." "About magic?" Mika teased. Haru scratched his head, trying to brush it off. "Yeah, something like that." Mika gave him a knowing look. "You know, if you want, I could teach you a thing or two. I may not be a master, but I've picked up a few tricks." "Maybe later," Haru said, still not sure how serious Mika was about that suggestion. But her offer did make him think. For Chapter 3. The Decision. As the days passed, Haru tried to focus more on his work at the shop. He had become comfortable in the routine, though the thought of magic still lingered in the back of his mind. And then, as if fate was pushing him toward something, the mysterious man reappeared. Haru was at the counter, restocking some items, when the bell above the door jingled once again. The tall figure stepped into the store, his presence almost filling the room. He glanced at Haru and smiled knowingly. "Have you thought about it?" he asked, his voice deep and calm. Haru stared at him, a little caught off guard. He had expected the man to disappear after their last encounter, but here he was again. Haru felt a knot form in his stomach, but curiosity outweighed his caution. I have," Haru said slowly. "I'm still not sure, though. Why would you want to teach me? What's your angle?" The man leaned against the counter, his eyes twinkling with amusement. "You're cautious. I like that. But there's no trick here, kid. I've been teaching magic for years. I don't need anything from you. Just help me out, and I'll teach you what I know." Haru paused, thinking. He had come this far, and the allure of magic was hard to ignore. "All right," he said, his voice firm. "I'll do it. I want to learn." The man's face broke into a wide smile, his eyes lighting up with genuine warmth. "Good. You won't regret it." Haru felt a strange sense of relief wash over him. Whatever lay ahead, he was ready to face it. He had made his decision. Chapter 4. The First Lesson. The next day, Haru met the mysterious man in a quiet clearing just outside the town. The place was peaceful, surrounded by tall trees and the soft rustling of leaves. It was the perfect setting for training, far away from distractions. The man introduced himself properly this time. "By the way, I'm Art," he said with a playful grin, "but I suppose you can just call me Art. No need for formalities." "Art, huh?" Haru repeated, feeling a bit more at ease. "All right, Art. What do we do first?" Art's smile faded slightly as he looked at Haru with a serious expression. "First, you need to clear your mind. Magic isn't something you can force. It's all about focus and understanding. You need to trust your instincts." Haru nodded, unsure of how to clear his mind. He had always struggled with concentrating, and the idea of magic being tied to his thoughts felt intimidating. "Take a deep breath, focus, and try to feel the magic around you," Art instructed, gesturing to the trees and the earth beneath them. Haru closed his eyes, trying to focus. At first, it was difficult, but then he felt a faint warmth beneath his feet, like a pulse. He reached out mentally, trying to connect with the earth, but instead the ground beneath him cracked suddenly, sending small rocks flying. Art raised an eyebrow but didn't seem disappointed. "Well, that's not exactly what I had in mind, but you're getting there." Haru blushed, his face turning red. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that." Art chuckled. "Don't worry about it. You're just starting out. Magic isn't easy." Chapter 5. Observing and Learning. The following lessons were just as awkward. Haru kept trying to apply magic in a controlled way, but more often than not, it resulted in chaos. Boxes floating and crashing, earth shifting unexpectedly. Every attempt seemed to fail, but he didn't give up. Mika had been quietly observing Haru's progress, though she hadn't mentioned it directly. One evening, she spoke up. "You know you're not bad at this," she said, standing by the doorway of the shop as Haru struggled to pick up a fallen box with magic. "You just need more control." Haru paused and looked up, surprised to see her watching. "Control, huh?" he muttered. "That's what I've been trying to do. But it's not easy." Mika smiled, her eyes full of warmth. "You'll get there. It's all about patience. You don't need to be perfect right away. Haru's heart skipped a beat. There was something in the way she spoke to him that made him feel like he wasn't alone. Chapter 6. The Growing Connection. As time passed, Haru found himself growing more confident in his magic. Though his progress was slow, it was noticeable. He could lift heavier objects now, his magic no longer breaking things apart at random. Still, he was far from perfect. Mika's presence continued to be a comfort to him. They spent more time together, both in the shop and outside of it. One evening after work, they sat at a small cafe, talking about everything and nothing at all. The way Mika smiled at him made him feel warm, and he realized just how much he enjoyed her company. Mika, Haru started, his voice quieter than usual. I've been thinking about something. Yeah? Mika looked up at him curiously. I want to ask you something, he said, his voice hesitating. Would you go out with me? Like, on a date? Not just as co-workers, but something more? Mika looked at him, her face lighting up in surprise before softening into a gentle smile. I'd like that, Haru, she replied warmly. Chapter 7. Magic in the Real World. The weeks passed, and Haru grew more confident. With Art's lessons and Mika's encouragement, he was learning to apply his magic in everyday life, whether it was lifting heavy boxes in the shop or rearranging items with a simple gesture. While his magic still wasn't perfect, it was becoming more natural, and his progress was clear. One day, Art appeared in the shop unexpectedly. Haru was lifting a box into place with magic when Art walked in, his eyes twinkling with approval. Not bad, kid, Art said with a grin. You've got the hang of it. Haru looked up, his heart swelling with pride. Really? Art chuckled. You've got a long way to go, but you're getting there. Mika stood nearby, watching the exchange with a soft smile. She was proud of Haru, not just for his progress with magic, but for his persistence. Haru smiled, a sense of accomplishment washing over him. He wasn't just learning magic, he was learning something deeper. And he wasn't alone anymore. With Mika by his side and Art's lessons pushing him forward, Haru knew that he was capable of much more than he ever thought. Chapter 8. A New Beginning. As Haru's magic improved, so did his relationship with Mika. They were no longer just co-workers or friends. They had become something more, something real. Each day brought them closer, and Haru couldn't help but feel a deep sense of gratitude. One evening, after a particularly successful training session, Haru walked home with Mika. He looked at her, his heart beating a little faster than usual. Mika, he said softly, I really appreciate everything. Not just with magic, but, well, with everything. You're always there for me. Mika smiled, her eyes shining. Of course, Haru, I'm happy to be here with you. And as they walked side by side, Haru knew that his journey, both with magic and with Mika, had only just begun. The path ahead was uncertain, but it felt a lot more hopeful with her by his side. Chapter 9. Magic and Growing Closer. Haru was once again trying to apply magic in real life, this time at the store. He was determined to use his magical abilities to help Mika. They were arranging goods on the shelves, and Haru had offered his assistance. Hey, Mika, watch this, he said enthusiastically, focusing on the task at hand. I can handle this faster with earth magic. He raised his hands, concentrating, and at first everything seemed to go smoothly. Several boxes began to levitate slowly, but just as Haru tried to carefully place them on the shelf, magic took over. The boxes started spinning in the air, and before he knew it, they crashed to the floor in a chaotic mess. One of the boxes knocked over a nearby shelf, setting off a chain reaction. Bottles rolled off the shelves, and the entire scene descended into mayhem. Damn it, Haru muttered, kneeling down to pick up the fallen boxes, feeling embarrassed as he looked at Mika. There I go again. Mika stood there, trying to suppress her laughter as she covered her mouth with her hand. Well, you can't master everything all at once, can you? She said with a grin, her tone both amused and supportive. It was funny, but you're on the right track. You'll get the hang of it. Haru sighed, rubbing the back of his neck in frustration. It's not easy. I was just trying to help, but magic had other plans, he admitted. Mika walked over to him, a gentle smile on her face, and carefully set a box back on the shelf. It's no big deal. Next time will be better, she said, reassuringly. You're trying your best, and I appreciate it. Haru felt a slight blush creep across his face. He looked at her and for a moment fell silent, realizing that something between them had shifted. It wasn't just the work. It was something more. The way she supported him, the way she smiled. It was different. Thanks for always being here for me, Haru said quietly, his voice sincere. Mika met his gaze, and for a brief moment they just stood there, sharing the quiet connection. Haru realized that there was more between them than just friendship, that something was growing. He took a deep breath, nervously stepping closer to her. Mika, he started, his voice faltering slightly. I think, I'd like us to be more than just friends. Maybe we could go out sometime. Not as colleagues, but as a couple? Mika paused for a moment, surprised, but then a soft warmth spread across her face. She smiled, and there was a glint in her eyes. Haru, I think that's a great idea, she replied, her voice gentle but genuine. I like you too, and honestly, I've been thinking the same thing. I want us to be more than just friends. Haru's heart skipped a beat. He couldn't hide the smile that spread across his face. Really? He asked, his voice full of joy. Yeah, really, she replied, laughing softly. So how about we go out after work? I think we both deserve it. Haru nodded eagerly, his smile never fading. I can't wait, he said, unable to contain his excitement. Just then, Art walked into the store. He had been watching them for a while, but when he saw Haru trying to use magic again, this time with a bit more control, he couldn't resist commenting. Haru, you're doing well, Art said with a small smile. Still a little clumsy, but you're making progress. You can see that, can't you? Haru sighed, but allowed a small sense of pride to show in his eyes. Yeah, I guess it's not as hard as I thought. I'm getting there, he said, beaming. Art chuckled, giving him an approving slap on the back. You're not just good at magic. You've got perseverance, too. That's something I admire, Art said with a grin. Mika, who had been observing the exchange, couldn't hold back her smile. Haru, you're really making progress even with all the setbacks, she said warmly. I'm proud of you. Haru felt something change in his life that day. He wasn't just learning magic. He was building something more important, something real, and that something was them. Chapter 10. Progress and a New Chapter. Each day, Haru grew more confident in his magic. Despite all the mishaps, he found that he was starting to get a better grasp on how to use magic in everyday life. It wasn't just about studying. It was about testing his patience and determination. But most importantly, Haru realized he wasn't alone anymore. There was someone by his side, someone who believed in him. He continued his lessons with Art, and while his magic still wasn't perfect, he could now apply it with more confidence. Haru kept working with earth magic, and now he could lift not only boxes but small stones and plants. Things were becoming easier, and it wasn't just magic. It was a part of his life. Mika continued to support him, not just in magic, but in everything else. They weren't just colleagues anymore. They were growing closer with each passing day, and Haru could feel it. Every time he saw her, every moment spent with her, It felt like they were stepping into something new, something wonderful. One day, Art visited the shop again and saw Haru confidently using magic to place some boxes on the shelves. He couldn't help but smile. "Haru, looks like you're really starting to get the hang of it," Art said, watching him carefully. "You're not just trying anymore. You're doing it with confidence." Haru let out a laugh, feeling proud. "Yeah, it's not as hard as I thought," he said, grinning. "I'm finally getting there." Art slapped him on the back with a smile. "Good job, kid. Keep it up," Art said, nodding approvingly. But more than anything, Haru was grateful for Mika's support. She wasn't just his co-worker anymore. She was becoming something more important to him. And that gave him strength, not just to improve his magic, but to keep going in life. As Haru watched the boxes settle into place, he knew that his journey had only just begun. He wasn't just learning magic anymore. He was learning what it meant to be someone's partner, to trust and support each other through both the challenges and joys of life. And that, he realized, was the greatest magic of all.